I am here to give you an example of this week's work. So this week we're asking you to do something a little bit different. We're asking you to be a historian. And if you look at the PowerPoint or the Google Slides presentation that's posted in Google Classroom, they give you a lot of really nice options to do this in a way that's traditional. But I did want to show you my example because not every historian does things traditionally. So you may be a bit of a maverick. You may want to do something more unique, and please know you are welcome to do that. So my title slide is just the title slide that we got from the original presentation. And then I did a traditional journal. So question number 3 on your question slide, which is slide number 3 in the main presentation, was the question that asked, how is today different from last month for you, your family, our nation, and the world? You don't have to answer this in the race format. You do not have to answer this like it's an essay question. We're not looking for you to use the Harvard outline. We just really want you to reflect on the differences that you're noticing. So for me, I'm going to share what I had written because it's a bit of a strange story. It says here, I wrote this last week on Monday, April 6th. It's hard to believe, but 1 month ago today marked my first full week in my own personal lockdown. The rest of the world was still functioning, but I was diagnosed with 2 growths on my vocal cords. I was ordered into silence for no less than 2 weeks. If my vocal cords did not heal and my voice did not return, I would have to undergo surgery. I was not permitted to go to work, and without a voice, there aren't a lot of other safe places you can be. I stayed at home with my cat and my laptop, missing my friends, my students, and my life. I felt like I had gotten grounded by God. It's remarkable how a month will give you a sense of perspective. I am grateful that my vocal cords healed and I can speak again, but now everyone in the world has been grounded with me. I live in New Jersey, where it is now illegal to go into a store without a mask. Most stores are closed, and those that are open have shelves and aisles that are bare. My biggest worry isn't for myself any longer. It's for my parents, both over the age of 70, both considered higher risk for this insidious disease. The only time I've left my home in the past week was with my husband to bring them groceries and medicine. The world is definitely changing. I still miss my life, but I'm finding myself grateful for small things like my loved ones, the internet, my home, and a safe place to wait for the world to come back online. So this is pretty straightforward narrative stuff. You know, any of you could have written a journal similar to this, just about how your life has changed over the past month. Notice I didn't go into anything about our nation or the world, and that's okay. I'm not going to lose points for that. We're really just giving you these questions to help stimulate some thoughts, okay? So the next time I journaled, I wasn't feeling quite as wordy. And so on Wednesday, April 8th, I have this. This is actually based on a dream I had. And this, I mean, I'm not the best artist by any stretch of the imagination, but this is kind of what this dream was about. Last night I dreamt I had magical shoes, which would protect me from COVID-19. I used them to get supplies for my parents, my aunts, and my friends without fear or doubt. I really wish these shoes were real. I really wish I could be more helpful. So I, was in a different mindset. I was feeling a little more creative. And so I told my story in a different way using pictures and colors and drawings and little clip art. And you're welcome to do that as well. I mean, there's no limit to this. Now notice, this doesn't really directly address any of the questions from slide number 3. There's no slide number 3 that says, tell us what you dreamt. No, there wasn't one. But it is there because it's something that I was thinking about last week. So I want you to feel free to process whatever thoughts and feelings you're having and share that with us without any fear of, it doesn't really meet the questions that they asked. Those questions are guidelines. They are only suggestions. They are not required. The last one was from last Friday. And I actually did this in response to number 4, which asks, did you see anything today that gave you hope? Okay, so I actually did see something really cool that gave me hope. It was actually this down here that started this whole collage thing. And so I wrote this and I posted it on my social media. I saw this on the news this morning and I thought it was the most amazing example of generosity of the human spirit during times of crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, this group is called RVs for MDs. They match people who own RVs to doctors fighting coronavirus who are in need of a place to safely sleep without jeopardizing the health of their families. If you own an RV or know someone who does, please consider loaning your mobile home to a hero. So I actually saw it, I think it was on the Today Show. And I just thought it was the most amazing thing that these doctors who, you know, were being, in some cases, were being offered like hotel rooms, but they'd be far, far away from their families. They certainly didn't want to go home and infect their families after treating sick people. This was a great solution. They could throw an RV in their driveway and be able to wave to their kids through the window and, you know, talk to their spouse on the cell phone and make eye contact with each other, but not, you know, be in each other's physical space and endanger each other. So I thought that was just like the most amazing example of how human beings can get together, see a problem and solve it, just out of kindness, generosity, and the desire to help others. You're going to recognize this guy right here because this is from the beginning of the year. This is Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And this is the quote we started the year with. When he was a boy, he would see scary things on the news and his mother would say, look for the helpers. So I do this. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but in Google Classroom, I've been adding to our look for the helpers entry every week, because there's so many stories of helpers that I want you to be aware of. So I'm still actively looking for the helpers. I sincerely hope you are too. And if you find them, like I found them on this particular day, I sincerely hope that you would reflect on that and see how awesome that power of generosity and spirit is. And of course, because, you know, I'm me, I have my picture of my castle over here, and it says, I look forward to going back to Disney one day. That is something that gives me hope. The idea that there is a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. And tomorrow is going to come. It's a long day right now, but tomorrow is going to come. We'll all be together again at Suffern Middle School. So we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. So those are my 3 entries. Notice I didn't do 5. You don't need to. You only need to do 3. They're all done completely differently. The only thing that they have in common is the date. You do have to make sure you put the date on the top so we have an idea of when you did them. But we want you to really just reflect on what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And for those of you who know me well, I mean, you could pick out what mood I was in when I did each of these. You know, it's pretty evident. So with that in mind, I just wanted to show you there are a million ways to do this correctly. You can write a song, make a video, interview a family member, write a poem, journal about your dreams, interview a friend, create something that makes you smile, photograph something or someone who gives you hope, journal about what you hope the world will be like next year at this time. Draw pictures of things that keep you busy, active, and happy. Paint a portrait of someone you might miss right now. Create a recipe, try to make it, photograph, and share your results. Especially if you're a lousy cook, that's fun. Create a card for someone you miss. Photograph it and share it with us, and then mail it to that person. Write a story about what your stuff in your locker is doing without you. You ever wonder that? It's kind of a Toy Story idea, but think about it. What is your stuff doing without you? Make a list of the first 5 things you want to do when restrictions are lifted and why. Make a pro and con list about your time in quarantine, or write about your dream quarantine situation. You know, how well would you do if you were trapped with the cast of a TV show like The Office? You know, so the bottom line is we really just want you to spend your time this week using your creativity, your words, to get across your feelings. That's all it is. And so, like this slide reminds you, there are really a million ways to do this correctly. So please do not email your teacher and say, I didn't know how to do this. We've given you pretty structured guidelines in the instructions, but we're giving you free rein on this. You have the freedom to do this any way that works for you. There is only one way to do this wrong, and Sully is happy to share it with you, and that is laziness. If you are as lazy as my cat, then yes, you will not receive credit. So with that in mind, my dears, if you have questions, you know we are only an email away. Please feel free to bring questions to the sessions this week if you choose, and try to get some enjoyment out of this. We'd like you to use language arts as a way to express yourself this week, and we hope that you get something good out of it. Alrighty, see you soon. Bye.